What's going on, everybody? Got a another tournament recap to go over. This is a recap on the team tournament at Graham-Mebane Lake. The lake itself puts this tournament on. I think they've done it the past few years. I fished it last year. Was fortunate enough to tie for first last year, but this year was a little different. My dad and I fished it this year together. I think we ended up sixth place with like just over 15 and a quarter pounds with only 4 fish. Unfortunately, my dad did not get to, he didn't catch any fish. He didn't even have any bites. It's just one of those days, I guess. I think I ended the day with about 10 bites. Missed quite a few. Had one undersize that I had to throw back, and then I had one that about 4 or 5 pounds that I fought for a little while, and then just the hook pulled out before I could get it in. But my big fish for the day was a 609, which is a pretty good tournament fish, in my opinion. I'd be very satisfied with that fish on any tournament day. But to kind of get into it, first place, they had 24 pounds and some change. Second place had almost 23 pounds, and then third place had just over 20 pounds. So the big ones were definitely biting that day. I think the smallest fish I weighed in might have been 2.5 pounds. So I had some quality fish, just needed that one more decent fish to kind of put me up there amongst the top 3. But that's just the way fishing goes. But we started out on some water that I fished last year in the tournament. Didn't have much luck on that water. After we got done fishing that one bank line, we turned around and kind of come back to we come back to where I wanted to start. Where I wanted to start was a boat sitting on it that morning. So we went and fished that. Wind was blowing pretty hard up against that bank, so we didn't fish it much. We shot across the lake, fished another area that I had caught fish before, and that's where I caught my big fish. Caught it right up on the bank, flipping a 1/4 ounce VMC swinging rugby jig with a Strike King rage bug, a green pumpkin Strike King rage bug on it. And that is what I caught all my fish on that day. I tried other things. I tried cranking. I tried chatterbaits. I tried spinner baits. I didn't have any luck on anything else. I did hear a couple of buddies that fished the tournament. They said that they caught 2 on chatterbaits. They just wasn't my day to catch them on that, but I couldn't get them to bite it like they did. But we fished around, fished hard. What I found with the fish I caught is I was barely twitching it. I was just barely twitching the bait, and that's when you'd have to feel the bite. They weren't like they were trying to murder it. They were just barely picking it up and swimming off with it. So the wind was blowing really hard that day. I mean, harder than it was when we fished Jordan Lake the previous weekend. So we tried to stay out of the wind as much as possible, just because that bite was that soft. So if you were in the wind, you'd have to really be able to feel that bite or see your line swimming off to even know you got bit. But the reason I chose what I chose to, because I like this VMC rugby jig, because you can flip it like a flipping bait, or you can cast it up into the rocks and just slow retrieve it through the rocks like a standard like biffle bug or something like that, and let it knock through the rocks. And I did that a few times as well, but that was, in my opinion, more or less like a moving bait, and I wanted to get bit on moving baits that day, so I ended up just flipping it the rest of the day. and that's how I got all of my bites. But I'll hold it up, kind of show you what I'm working with. I'll also add a picture into the video so you can kind of see it, better close-up view of it. But I was throwing it on a Denali lithium worm and jig rod. It's a 7.4 medium heavy. I had a 17-pound fluorocarbon line. The reel, I mean, flipping baits, it don't really matter what gear ratio reel. It just depends on how fast you want to reel it in at the end of the day, I guess. But I wish I had more lures to show you that I caught fish on that day, but that's the only thing I got bit on. So this one's going to be another short, sweet, to the point. But as in my other videos, I will drop a link to Denali's website so you can view all their rods and selection of different things. I will add a picture of my lure that I used so you can kind of get a better view of that. If you have any questions, concerns, comments, suggestions, drop them in the comments below, and I will try and reach out to everybody that does drop a comment. And if you don't mind, like, subscribe to my videos, trying to grow the channel. If you have any suggestions on what you'd like to see, drop them in the comments as well. I've got a kayak tournament coming up this weekend on Lake McIntosh, so I will next week have another video up recapping that tournament. Hopefully it goes well. I did get to pre-fish a little bit last week, so I'm hoping to get out this another day this week and pre-fish, just to kind of get an idea of what I want to do. We had some weather come through today that could maybe mess things up. I don't know. It's hard to say. And then I'm going to do a video on my bass boat. As I said in the previous video, I'm going to do my rig video on my bass boat. I'm also going to do one on my kayak, how I set it up for fishing, how I set it up for tournament fishing, and why I chose the boat kayak that I fish out of versus other brands, other boats, other kayaks, stuff like that. So there's a couple of more videos to be looking out for. But as always, tight lines and stay safe.